Alright, what is up everybody? Today we are going to be starting our Acura TL build. Probably not the TL you think it is. This is going to be a second gen. And not only is it a second generation Acura TL, it is the 1999. So of all the years of the Acura TL, the 1999 got stuck with the 4-speed transmission instead of the 5-speed. And not only that, it has the worst cams and the smallest intake and so on and so on. Anyway, we're going to be starting this build today, so I'll show you what we got, what kind of parts I've got sitting in a bunch of boxes around the corner. And then, whoops, lost it. Let's get started. Alright, so for this build, we have got some maintenance stuff, water pump, timing belt, pulleys, tensioners, all that. But aside from that, we've got the fun stuff. So like I mentioned earlier, the 1999 J32A1 has some of the worst camshafts there are for the J series. So we've got ourselves a set of third gen Acura TL J32A3 camshafts. And I'll put the specs up on the screen here in a moment, but that's going to give us a much better lift, especially outside of VTEC. And then to be able to actually run these third gen camshafts in a second gen motor, we've got these adapters from P2R. They're kind of in one piece right now. Let's see if I can get one out of here. We've got these adapters from P2R that space the camshaft out properly and allow you to run these third gen camshafts in the second gen heads. Outside of that, it's also got some bolts and stuff to come with it too, but outside of that, we've got a thermal throttle body gasket. Thermal intake manifold gasket is on the way. This is a 68 millimeter billet throttle body along with a thermal throttle body gasket. We're going to be port matching the intake manifold, possibly upgrading to a third gen intake manifold later on, but not right now. Throttle cable. This is for a K series motor, but actually lines up with this B series throttle body, and it looks like it should work. I'm just gonna have to shave some off of here for that. And then to tune it all, pretty sure it's gonna work, and we're gonna find out today, because that's gonna be the first thing we install today. Is we've got from ECU Master a DET3 Digital ECU Tuner 3 Plus. It's a piggyback. It's got a 4-bar map sensor built into it. It's a pretty cool little system. I'm not normally a huge fan of piggybacks, but we're going to try this one out because... Alright, let's actually go ahead and get this ECU out of here because I haven't even taken it out of the box. As you can see, it's still got the tamper tape on it. There we go. Wow, that's a small little unit. That's cool. It'll fit right in the glove box or something. Pretty impressive for how small it is. I've already gone through the software on my laptop, played with that. Should have all the settings set up correctly for the Acura. Wanted to make sure I could get it had all the settings I needed. This thing's pretty capable. You can boost your car on an automatic. This will work on pretty much any car. It's pretty impressive. You can boost your car on an automatic. You can do launch control, multiple maps, run nitrous, water meth injection, all sorts of stuff. It's pretty cool. So let's go ahead. Let's get this wired into the car and see how well it works. Just realized there's one thing I actually forgot to mention on this. This is from P2R as well. This is an idle air control valve adapter. This allows us to still run our idle air control valve while we're using a B series throttle body on a J series car. Oh, here we go. Sorry for the terrible view, but this is probably about as good as it's gonna get with my super dirty daily driver. I've got my soldering iron, wire cutters, strippers, heat shrink, and our ECU. Should be relatively simple. Alright, so at this point what I've got done is I've got our intercepts for our map sensor as well as our crank position sensor. Those are the two things that the DET3 here has to basically modify the signal of in order to change your ignition timing as well as your fueling. The only thing I got to do now is I've got to hook up the power wire into the ECU power. I already have my AEM wideband wired into the DET3 as well. You've just got a 0 to 5 volt signal coming out of your yeah, I know this looks like spaghetti, but you got a 0 to 5 volt signal coming out of your AEM wideband that taps into one of your what's it called here, analog ends. I think mine's like analog 3 or 4 for the wideband, and then you ground it to the same spot that you ground your DET3 at. So that's got the AEM wideband signal going to it now. So we're just going to knock out the power wire and the IAT, the intake air temperature sensor wire. Alright, hopefully you guys can see through my arms here, but I'm getting this last wire for the IAT soldered up. I ended up putting the power wire on a different source because my ECU has battery voltage at all times, and I didn't exactly want a parasitic drain from this DET3 running all the time. So I chose to tap into a different power source. I'm hoping that power source doesn't lose voltage while it's cranking, because that could cause an issue. But this is our last wire. We slide this heat shrink over. Oops. Just gotta slide the heat shrink over it, shrink it down, and then we should be able to test this out. Alright, so that is basically the complete installation of the DET3. Just got our IAT sensor, crank sensor, map sensor. This is all we need besides the power and ground. We've got our wideband hooked up. I'm gonna go ahead and hook all this back up to the ECU and see what we got. Alright everybody, I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't really help myself, and I have definitely already been playing around with this quite a bit. I should mention, by the way, I am not affiliated with or paid by or sponsored by, or get my trash out of here, sponsored by or anything to do with ECU Master. I bought this with my own money. This is all by me. So if this thing is a piece of junk, I will let you know. But so far so good. Actually, you know, I've been doing a little bit of street tuning with my bolt-on setup. This is just cold air intake, headers, exhaust, you know, and I know this looks a little funky being whoop, 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 and you normally want nice smooth map. You don't want jagged edges in your 3D map, especially here. Anyway, if I show you a data log later on, probably in a different video, you'll understand why it's like that right now. But anyway, it does seem to work. Let's find our magic plus button. I've got our, you know, where we're idling at highlighted. Let's find the plus button. We'll see, we'll get both in view. Add some fuel in there and you'll see it definitely makes it go richer. But what you gotta remember is this is a piggyback. Your most effective area of tuning with this is going to be up here in your open loop area instead of your down in your closed loop area of your map, because you're going to be fighting your ECU unless you can disable your primary O2 sensor. So just understand that is kind of the drawback of a piggyback system like this. But you can still, for my purposes, with just the cams and the throttle body, where I do need to be tuning is, you know, up here. I haven't played with any of the ignition timing yet. We'll get into that in a later video, I guess, when I finish the cams and stuff. But yeah, I'll show you. I mean, like I said, it works. It'll control that fuel, but inside of the closed loop area of the map, you're going to be fighting your primary O2 sensor unless you can disable that without causing, you know, a limp mode or some form of your ECU freaking out. But so far so good. It does seem to work. It does seem to add the fuel when we get on a dyno, after we do the cams, the throttle body, and all the other parts that I've got for this thing. We'll actually play with the timing and see if that works, see if we gain any power there. I don't know how much timing you can really add into a J series, but just to make sure this ECU is working, we'll do that. I'll also show you real quick. We're in the log window. You know, everything works. I'm pretty impressed. You know, so I appreciate you guys checking it out. We'll do a much longer video with tuning after we get all the parts on here. So far I have had plenty of fun playing with it on the street or in Mexico, however you want to put it. Fun little thing. Was not very hard to install, pretty easy actually. Yeah, I appreciate you guys watching it, and comment, like, subscribe, stick around, and we'll have plenty more on this little ECU.